Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Andy Madison. We begin tonight in Westborough, where tomorrow voters will decide whether the town should prohibit non-medical marijuana businesses. In November, 54% of the state voters approved the legalization of recreational marijuana use. But in Westborough, voters rejected it. Massachusetts law now requires town voters to take another step and opt out in order to prohibit all types of licensed marijuana-related businesses. School committee member Jody Hensley says the town is looking at preventing the opportunity for retail shops to come in before it's a possibility.
We knew that the discussion would be a clearer discussion before we had industry pressure on the community to open pot shops here. So we're really trying to get ahead of the curve and have a clear, well-informed vote before the industry was pressuring us to open up businesses here.
Now, this will not affect parts of the state law allowing personal consumption of marijuana and growing a certain number of plants in the home. Southborough police find about 5 pounds of marijuana during a traffic stop over the weekend. Police say 23-year-old George Oaknose was pulled over for speeding, and authorities found marijuana and ecstasy in his car. Oaknose was arrested and is facing multiple charges, including operating under the influence of liquor. Police say digital scales, 2 cell phones, $830 in cash, drug packaging materials, and counterfeit money were also found in the vehicle. A local woman who was seriously injured after being hit by a baseball bat at a Boston Red Sox game in 2015 is now accusing the man who helped her during her recovery of assault. Both appeared in court earlier today. Rosalind Flaherty was also there for the arraignment and has the details.
Samuel Rosario breaks down in East Brookfield District Court, crying as he hears his ex-girlfriend Tanya Carpenter tell a judge he assaulted her over the weekend.
This is just a big misunderstanding.
Tanya Carpenter suffered life-threatening injuries after she was hit by a broken baseball bat at Fenway Park in 2015. Rosario was with her and can be seen in this video caring for her child, who was also at the game. According to court documents, the two had an argument on Friday. On Saturday, Carpenter told police Rosario entered her home armed with a cordless drill, pinned her down and placed the drill to her head, saying, quote, "I'm going to use this on you if you don't give me my keys."
He was heavily intoxicated at the time.
Court documents say Carpenter was issued an emergency restraining order. Rosario was charged with multiple offenses, including assault and battery with a dangerous weapon.
Are you asking that the gentleman not abuse you?
Yes.
Are you asking that he stay at least 50 yards away from you?
Yes.
Rosario was ordered to stay away from Carpenter for 1 year. Outside the court, Rosario says these allegations against him are false.
She is a TBI patient and is prone to anger issues. Anyone that knows me knows that I have brought this woman back to life.
Rosario says the two had an argument, but he never threatened her. He says Carpenter has still not healed from her injuries.
The woman that I knew died that night. This is not the woman that I knew.
Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
Rosario is due back in court next month for a pre-trial hearing. Well, the Worcester Railers won't be the only new hockey team in the city next year. A high school girls hockey team is also taking the ice. St. Peter Marian announcing today their partnership with the Worcester Railers has paved the way for the school's first ever girls ice hockey team. Currently, the school co-ops with Shrewsbury. That's who they're playing with there in that video. Both the boys and girls hockey teams will play at the new Worcester Ice Center. Railers president Michael Myers says the team is thrilled to be able to bring a new girls ice hockey team to Worcester.
Girls hockey to the St. Peter Marian sports program is huge, and having them play at the Worcester Ice Center is just another feather in our cap that we can, hopefully have a long-standing partnership with St. Peter Marian, and we're happy to have them along.
The new team was made possible thanks to a partnership between St. Peter Marian and the Worcester Railers. The Worcester Ice Center is expected to be completed later this year. Auburn is looking to revitalize 2 former school buildings. Requests for proposals have been issued for the Mary D. Stone and Julia Bancroft school buildings. Both buildings were once used as elementary schools by the town, but have been vacant for the past 2 years. The town manager hopes the buildings can be turned into housing.
They began as schools back in the 1920s, both of them, and they have beautiful facades, so it is our hope that the bidder will preserve the facade of the building, understanding that there may have to be some type of renovation, rehabilitation, or selective demolition of parts of the buildings.
Requests for proposals are due next month. A walkthrough of both buildings will be held a week from Thursday. The psychiatric unit at UMass Memorial Medical Center in Worcester could be drastically changed. Tomorrow, a city councilor and nurses from a statewide union will rally in an attempt to take action against the move. Our Brittany Schaefer explains.
I haven't heard anything positive from patients about this change.
Lisa Goss was shocked when she discovered half of the inpatient psychiatric beds in her wing are going to be closing.
Everybody's shocked. We're shocked. The patients are shocked. It's a huge decrease, in the amount of services that we can provide.
My initial reaction is just sadness, given the fact that we need more services, and it seems like everywhere is cutting the services. That how does anybody get any help?
UMass Memorial Medical Center has proposed to close 13 of its 28 inpatient psychiatric beds and convert them into medical surgical beds. Goss says the rooms are in constant use.
I'd say on average we're probably 95% full. Most of the time. Usually we're waiting for people to be discharged with people lined up to be admitted.
Goss says her patients are starting to hear about the cuts and are not happy.
When a lot of our patients find out that these beds are closing and it's going to be harder for them to get a space on our unit, it's going to be like cutting the legs out from underneath them as far as a huge part of their support network.
Goss says the hospital has been a central spot for people seeking help, especially for those who use public transportation.
If they think that they're going to have to go somewhere outside of Worcester, which will be the case if these beds close, then they may not even seek treatment.
Goss and her fellow Massachusetts Nurses Association members are working with City Councilor Sarai Rivera on an order at Tuesday night City Council meeting in opposition to UMass's proposal. Advocates say the hospital should be adding beds instead of taking them away.
28 wasn't enough to begin with, and now to just cut that in half, that's just going to put so many people on the streets that don't need to be, that need the help, and it breaks my heart.
Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
A rally is being planned by nurses and advocates before the meeting tomorrow night. We reached out to UMass for comment, but no one was available. Well, new life for a long vacant firehouse in Worcester. Its owner has plans to renovate the historic building, which sits near the proposed Blackstone Visitors Center. Our Catherine Andrioli has the story.
Just something we've been working on a long time.
An old firehouse is now prime commercial real estate in Worcester. It will soon undergo a major transformation.
I've owned the fire station for 20 years, so for Raymond James to be able to come in here and be able to restore it and bring it back to the way it was and be able to put the money in is just amazing.
Raymond James Simon Sr. restores buildings throughout the city. He purchased the old Quinsigamond Firehouse in February. The property, built in 1891, is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. He plans on turning it into retail space, and the renovation will include apartments.
So the interior space will be apartments, definitely on the second and third floor, once we get the proper approvals. And then the first floor is open to some commercial business.
The property has been mostly untouched since 1994. It will now add to the revitalization of the neighborhood, along with a new bike trail and a planned visitor center set to break ground in April.
All the little shops and things like that. I think that's the vision that I see for this area.
Sally Jablonski says she sold the firehouse in July of 2013. Plans to convert the space into offices never materialized. She now hopes the property will attract more business owners to the area.
It's something that I've been working on a long time, and it's finally happening.
They're taking advantage of what we got going on here, and I think the energy is going to move forward, and we're looking good, I think.
In Worcester, Catherine Andrioli,